So most of you guys want to have a family someday. Why?
To like.
To what?
See what it's like.
To see what?
See what it's like.
To see what it's like? Just why not? Have a kid and see what happens. This sucks. But then the kid wins the lottery. This is cool. So maybe, and by the I joke about, but that's not a bad. It's not a bad thing to have experience, to experience things in life. Okay, why else would you want to have a family?
For fun.
For fun. Oh, it might be the wrong reason. 3 a.m. changing diapers might be the wrong reason. But I don't know. If you see little kids are hilarious.
But they fight too?
Yeah, they're a lot of they're a lot of fun. You ever see a little kid go to the beach before? And they like little ones, you know, whatever old that is. And they run out to the water, like the water's there, and they're just like looking around like this is like the most amazing thing in the world. And they like maybe step in the water. If they're properly adjusted, maybe they can look back and see how far away the family is. Because you don't want that kid who just runs out into the ocean at 2 years old, you know. But like it's so fun to watch because everything is brand spanking new to them, and everything is the most exciting or the most dramatic period of their life. You know, the highs of a little kid are the highest highs in the world, and then the lows of a little kid are the lowest in the world. You know, I was the other day, I don't remember if I mentioned this to you. There's this guy in my gym brought his child. Did I tell you about this?
No.
Brought his little kid to the gym, and the kid's going to be 3 years old. I think 4 years old. 3 years old, 4 years old in May. He said. So, because I asked him, "Oh, how old is she?" And my friend said, "It's a he." Okay, it doesn't look like a he, but fine. How old is he? Oh, he's going to be. I think he said 4 in May. Maybe it was. But it was interesting because I thought this kid was really little, like, because the kid doesn't really talk. The kid just like gurgles and laughs. You know, like I was trying to talk to him on the side of the mat. And it was funny because his dad was like on the mat with somebody. The person had him like in his arm lock, you know, and the little kid just was having a great time. Thought it was great. Thought his dad was winning. He's like, "Get him, Dad! Get him! Get him!" Like your dad's about to get his arm broken. Get him! But this kid's super excited. And then the kid like was stood up and went to run and tripped on the mat and went boom, face planted on the mat. And then he hit the mat though. So we're all like, "It's the mat, get up." And the kid gets up and he's like, now all of a sudden he was up here, now he's down here. And then you pick the kid up, and everyone in the gym just goes, "Hey!" He starts applauding. And then the kid's right back up to the highest of high. Kids seem to live like in these extremes. And even when they're down here and they're sad, it's still funny to us in some way. I don't mean funny like, "Haha, you're stupid," but because we recognize that it's a temporary thing, but for them, this is a long time. So, and it's a dramatic thing. So yeah, little kids can be fun, as long as they go home at the end of the day. I guess I'm wondering I wonder how many of you want to have a family someday because you just want to like pour love into something or have a positive influence on a life that's going to be better than the life that you had. And I hear that commonly from people like, I want to have a child that's going to have better than I had. I wish I heard more often, my parents did a great job with me, and I want to pass that love on to someone else too. And I wish I heard that more often. It's almost like we have families because we're trying to correct something from the past rather than perpetuate something positive into the future. What I would suggest to you is that if you do absolutely want to have children someday, especially if your idea is one of I want my child to have better than I had, then I guess I would ask the question, well, when do you want to get started on that? You want to get started on that when you look at the test and it says positive, and all of a sudden go, I guess we better get some things in order. Or do you want to start preparing now so that when that day comes, you're going to have your life in the best of all possible places. You're going to be in the best of all possible situations, so that the child you bring into the world is being brought into the best of all possible situations. Or do you want to just kind of imagine that this is the thing in the world that you could love more than anything, and a love that I've been told is probably beyond understanding until you do have a child? Would you rather then instead imagine that love that you'd have for that being. Would you rather just wing it? Play it by ear. Make it up as you go. Hope that you're going to be in the best place possible. I wonder how many of us sit and wish that we were in better situations in our lives right now. And that isn't a way of saying that parents did a terrible job. It isn't saying that they did a great job. It isn't saying who knows how well parents did. You won't even know how well your parents did until later on, when you can look back on it and go, now I understand a little bit. Now I can understand what they were going through, what they were trying to do, and all of that. But what I'm saying is that if you want to have a child someday, maybe start right now putting yourself in the best of all possible situations, so that when that child comes into the world, they're starting off with as many advantages as you could possibly have accommodated. And it doesn't necessarily have to be get as much money as possible. And I'm sure you've heard before that money isn't everything. And that's true, but money is something. You know, carbon isn't everything. You need oxygen as well. Nothing is everything. But money does matter. Of course it matters. Anyone who says that money doesn't matter either has a lot of it or none of it. Those are the two classes of people. Most of us can have realized that money does matter. You can cry about the meaninglessness and hopelessness of your life while sitting on a bus, or you can do the same thing sitting on your heated seats in your Mercedes. Yeah, the second one's a bit more comfortable, but you understand that it's still the same dilemma that both of those two folks are going to be facing. So maybe one of the things that we can do for ourselves is to sort ourselves out so that we're not just financially in the best situation possible, but psychologically as well. Because the last thing that you want, what happens when you get all of our friends together, we start just doing dumb stuff. Why? Because there's a bunch of us who are, once we get into a group, our IQ drops, and so does our maturity. And we all start just doing, and by the way, there's research that indicates this as well. There's this researcher, Gustave Le Bon, I was reading, who writes about masses and crowds and stuff like that. And he was talking about how, kind of like when a group gets together, the IQ of the group seems to drop down to the people who are the loudest. In other words, whoever says, let's go do this, and everyone's like, yeah, why not? Even if you're super intelligent, you'll still drop down, and rather than reason with the crowd, we tend to just kind of go along with it. Not just because we're followers, but because it seems like fun. So maybe we want to put ourselves in the best of all these possible situations, so that our children will be in the best of all possible situations, so they can have the best psychological advantages. Because my point to that story was we don't want immature people raising babies, because of course they're going to turn out immature. Maybe we want to mature ourselves first and build ourselves up psychologically so that we can raise psychologically healthy people who will then themselves also raise psychologically healthy people who will then themselves also raise psychologically healthy people, and so on down the line. It's this height of arrogance that if I were to ask you if you would jump in to fly an airplane right now, most of you hopefully would say no, because you're not prepared to do it. And you realize that by doing that, it wouldn't just be destroying your own life, but you're also going to be destroying the lives of everybody who's on board. You're going to kill everybody. Well, the same is true if you're raising a child. Having a child isn't just about destroying your own life or improving your own life. They're the lives of all the people behind you who you're never going to encounter. Everybody who your child is going to interact with down the line. All of the offspring that you're going to have that you're never going to know. Maybe you'll know your children, of course. Hopefully you'll know your grandchildren. If you're particularly blessed in life, maybe you'll know your great-grandchildren as well. But there's going to be a lot of people coming in after you who you're never going to know. Those are the people on the plane whose lives are going to be either made better or worse by the decisions that you make today. At some point, we have to give up our hope for a better past. I'll say that again. At some point, we have to give up our hope for a better past. And instead, we have to deal with the life that we're in right now, and then perpetuate forward from there, making the best of it. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms, critiques?